Hi, I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kristi.
Hello, and welcome back to Art After Dark. I'm so thrilled to have you join us for the final episode of this season. Today, Kristi and I are celebrating something creatives rarely pause to acknowledge: our wins. Big ones, small ones, surprising ones, and the ones that only matter because they meant something to us. We're so grateful for your support and can't wait to share this final episode with you. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's dive in.
Editing Kristi here. Stacy and I wanted to...
We're popping in. We're popping in. It's the end of season 1. I mean, I would just like to say thank you all for listening.
Yes.
And we appreciate you being here and sharing any of the episodes with your friends.
And we have season 2 in the works. We're going to do it. He's more surprised than us.
Yeah, no one is more surprised. And it's crazy considering we weren't even sure we would make all of season 1 live either. But here we are. We're doing it because that's what we do.
Yeah.
So
why not?
If you guys have ideas for episodes or topics that you're interested in and want to know more about, can you leave us a comment? Because we are open to your ideas, and obviously we want to talk about things that are interesting for you. We already have our own list, but we would love to hear from you.
Definitely. Yeah? And we're hoping to maybe have a few guests in season 2. So if there's somebody you want to hear from,
let us know.
You can nominate somebody. Can't guarantee they'll make it on, that they'll want to be on this podcast, but we're thinking about a few people. So there's that too.
That's going to be wild.
Yes. And let's see, we are planning to take a few weeks of break at the beginning of the year and then come back with season 2 in February.
Yeah, no pressure, but we're doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, stick around for episode 10. It's the final episode of season 1. And again, thanks for being here.
Yeah. And we'll see you in season 2.
Bye. First of all, I just want to say the topic today on this episode is our biggest wins and lessons. And I would just like to give us a high five that we even did this. If you're watching this or if you're listening to this, it actually made it out into the world. At the time of recording, we're not even sure that we're going to be releasing these episodes. But just the fact that we've showed up for each other for the last 5 or 6 weekends to make these episodes.
Yeah.
I feel so proud of us.
Totally.
We have jobs and we're doing other things. We did that.
I know. Last night, Catherine asked me, she's like, are you recording a podcast tomorrow? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, and next weekend? I was like, no. She's, what do you mean? I was like, this is our last weekend. This is the last episodes. She was like, really? I know.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I'm so proud of us. Like, we really only stopped because of a holiday weekend. We've shown up for each other every time.
Hell yeah.
I'm really proud of us.
Me too.
All right. What do you have?
You still want an icebreaker question?
I do. I want an icebreaker.
Okay. This is courtesy of ChatGPT, my assistant.
That guy.
I should name him, her, whatever.
Yeah.
If you could instantly master one skill, what would it be? Let's say it's not art related.
Oh, not art related? Does it have to be a real skill, or can I use like make-believe fantasy skill?
I would like to hear about that.
My fantasy skill would just be like time travel, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
My real skill, damn, ChatGPT.
I know. I can't even think of an answer for myself.
A skill. Not art related. Is there anything else?
Any more skills in our life?
What else is there than if not an art skill, what matters?
You can do an art skill then.
If it's an art skill, it's going to be right now at this time in my life. I would really like to master putting figures in my illustrations. And I don't mean that they need to look realistic. I'm not going for like representational illustrated figures. in spot illustrations, like editorial type things, which is why our monthly meeting is called hand lettering and figure drawing. Mine was the figure drawing. I have not achieved that. So that is a skill an artistic skill I would really like to master.
If we're going with art skills, then mine would be hand lettering. It turns out we should just start that group again and make it more focused.
Maybe we have that meeting and then we add a second one to the month and we call it business.
Other stuff. Everything else.
Everything else. All other business topics that are not hand lettering or figure drawing.
Oh, man.
All right. Biggest wins. So we've been at this for a couple of years now, this making art as our creative business after dark for a few years now. And we've had some successes, both of us. Why do you think it's important to acknowledge like these moments that we're proud of, or take a minute to just be like, yeah, I did that thing, rather than just immediately moving on to the next or just not even acknowledging it?
I think if we don't acknowledge them, then they do just feel like something you checked off a list, like practically like a scrap of paper that you throw away or that gets lost at the bottom of your purse or whatever. I am definitely guilty of this, like something big, and I'd be in like, all right, moving on. And we just talked about coaching. One of the things that my coach really helped me to remember more was to acknowledge the successes. And she would say things to me like, what are you going to do this week to celebrate this thing? And I would have to some weeks when she would ask me that, I'd be like, I don't know. I would just say nothing. And then I was like, no, you have to start acknowledging these things. And so then I actually started thinking about, okay, I'm going to go on a long hike this weekend, and that's how I'm going to celebrate this success or whatever. But I think if we don't acknowledge them, then it just becomes, you feel like you haven't accomplished anything. If you don't acknowledge the accomplishments, then are they even there? And then you start to feel like you're just spinning your wheels and you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think these don't have to even be big accomplishments. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I just launched my first online course, which you've done and have experience with. It can be like, it depends on where you're at, right? If you're trying to learn how to do figure drawing and you tell yourself, okay, it's Sunday night, I'm planning out my week. I'm going to spend 20 minutes every night this week, even if it's on the couch while I'm watching The Housewives, practicing figures, sketching. Like, that is worth celebrating. I think taking the time, it helps you feel good about what you're doing. It makes it feel less like a chore, not something you just check off and move on. So I think it's really important. One of the things that I do, because I also just have this tendency to just ignore the wins. On my planner, you have the month calendar view. And at the bottom, there's always this little section, and I just write wins. I write the word wins. And as something comes up, I just jot it down. If it's a graphic design thing, it'll be like, I billed my client for X amount of money. Or if it's, I completed one collection, or I submitted my portfolio to 6 companies, or whatever it is. I write those things down. And then at the end of the year, I can go back to every month and see at the bottom, like the list of all the wins, because it's so easy to just keep moving on. And if I don't know, I'm sure there are other digital systems or things that you can use, or even just putting them in your digital calendar. But for me, handwriting them and seeing it at the end of the year, it really feels good to go back and reflect on all those things. And it keeps you motivated to keep track of them moving forward, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I love that you write them at the bottom of your calendar.
I do.
I need to do something like that.
Any excuse to handwrite something, I'll take it.
Yeah. I've been struggling with that lately. I want to have a handwritten system, but like it's very hard for me to stick to it and to have those like things that I'm writing in with me at all times.
Yeah.
And so I think I've just given in and I'm just going to Notion everything. Like I know, and part of that makes me really sad, but it's just what's working for me right now. It's not forever.
Yeah,
Never know.
I bought my first, okay, side note, rabbit hole. I bought my first Hobonichi cousin planner, which if you even do 1 minute on YouTube, you'll see I've spent a lot of time on YouTube watching these people with their planners, but I've had it for 4 months now. So I am dying for January 1st. Can I just please get in there? Like I'm really like waiting for this. But one of the things we learned from Dylan Mierzwinski, if you've ever seen any of her, I think she has a bullet journal class on Skillshare, but she keeps a little field notebook with her so that when things come up during the day, she can jot them down in her field notes and then transfer them to her bullet journal in whatever way that she's using it. And that's something that I do as well, because I'm not going to carry this giant Hobonichi with me everywhere I go. It's going to stay on my desk. But if I'm out and about or I have an idea or whatever, then I write them in the field notes and then put them in the planner. That was a total side note, has nothing to do with wins and losses. Sorry, folks.
That's all right. I was using that method for a period and it was working really well for me. And then it stopped working. I don't know.
Yeah.
People change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Abandon things when they're not working to do it works.
Yes.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Acknowledging when something doesn't work.
People change. Yes. Okay. Can you share one of your proudest milestones with us? What led up to it? How did you feel when it happened? Yeah, tell us all the things.
Definitely getting my first licensing contract was a huge milestone. It's with Denick, and they were first on my list because I'm obsessed with stationery, first of all, but also just their whole philosophy and their mission and how they take proceeds and they build schools in places that don't have schools for children. And the whole thing is just, it was a dream. So when I pitched them with my portfolio, sweaty palms, all the things that go, this was very early on. Like this was one of the very first companies I pitched. And when I got the email back that they were interested in working with me, I literally jumped on the bed, woke up my husband. I was like, oh my God. Like it was just like this huge thing because this is like what you're working for. You learn how to use these programs, you learn how to make Illustrator, you understand how to write pitches, how to look for companies, how to put the portfolio together. And then to get someone come back and say that they want to work with you, it was by far my proudest moment. And my second proudest moment was the second licensing agreement also with them. I think what's really interesting to me about this win is both of the items that they licensed were created solely from something that I just wanted to make. I was in the first case, I was on the sofa drawing on the iPad. And in the second case, it was just a Sunday afternoon painting sessions where I was like, I just am really interested in painting, not painting, but they were illustrations, drawing tinned fish. I don't know where that came from. I just wanted to paint tinned fish. And then I got the call that they needed that. And I was like, here's this. And like within an hour, she wrote back. So I think it's really interesting because I feel like we hear a lot about making the work that you want to make and the work that you want to be known for. And that's the work that you're going to get. Those are the projects that you're going to be asked to do. And in this case, that actually did turn out to be true, which is pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
What about you? What's like a milestone, proudest moment for you?
So it's really hard to choose, not because I have a million milestones, but because I'm like proud of them for different reasons, right? So I have a similar story with my first licensing deal, but right now, what I'm feeling the most proud about is I participated in my first in-person market at Christmas. We're recording this in December. It all happened on a very short timeline. And I think the reason I'm proud of it, there's a few reasons, but one of the things it really showed me was that I have a lot of artwork. Not that I have an enormous amount of artwork, but I have more than I realized. And when it came time to create products for this market that was again, on a very short timeline, I didn't create any new work for this. All I did was take all my existing work and put it on stuff. That kind of showed me, oh, you actually have a lot of artwork to choose from. And it's not like I have a bunch of artwork. I obviously have artwork I don't like, but I had enough that I did like to actually have enough product for this booth.
Yeah.
The other thing that this event showed me was it gave me this really great look at how people respond to my work. And because a lot of us, we just create work in this vacuum, and we pitch our work to art directors, but we don't hear back from them. Or if we don't get a licensing deal, we don't know why. And this was a really interesting way for me to actually see which things on this table do people walk up to? Which things do they ask me about? Which things are they interested in? And I've never had that before. And that was really, it was exciting to see what was going to happen. My expectations for this entire thing were I kept saying to people, oh, my expectations are on the ground. They couldn't get any lower unless you dig a ditch for me.
Underground.
They're underground. Yeah. They are mole people.
Yeah.
So I went into it with really low expectations. And I think there's a few reasons why it went. I think it was lucky timing for me. It was the right kind of market for my artwork. And so it went really well. If I did another market, it could go completely pear-shaped and I might not sell anything. So I don't know. But it did all these things for me where it showed me that there's a market for my artwork, that there's people who are interested in it, that I can make a product and sell it. And that also, because my biggest fear in the whole market thing was the personal energy it was going to take for me to stand at that table for half a day to a bunch of strangers. Yeah. I'm a very introverted person. I am very capable of having a conversation with a stranger, and it appears like everything is normal. But inside of me, I'm just oh God, when is this going to be over?
Yeah.
And also at the end of the day, I collapse in a heap because I'm just all my energy is gone.
Yeah. Takes a lot of energy.
Yeah. But it was just such a really fulfilling and interesting and exciting experience. And yeah, I feel like it's the most exciting thing that's happened to me, even this year. It's crazy because it happened at the very end of
it happened
on
so
Black
fast.
Friday. Yeah.
It came together so quickly. It was there was no talk about it. And then all of a sudden it was happening. And then it happened.
Yes.
In a blink. And you pulled
and
it
part
all
of me
together.
Wonders if that's part of why it worked.
Yeah.
Was I didn't have time to hem and haw about decisions. It was you have to make these decisions because if you don't, you're going to be standing at a table with nothing on it. And, you just want to have a table.
These time constraints can be, I know we had an earlier episode about making art in limited time. They can work to your benefit. There's no room for faffing about, to use a phrase of all of our British artists that we love so much.
Yes.
No faffing.
Yes. Faffing.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very exciting to me as a spectator to watch you pull all of this together and then to hear how successful it was. And also as something that we had never really even talked about all year, as something that you were even interested in necessarily. So to see you have this opportunity and then take it and then have it work out is amazing. So yeah, definitely a win worth celebrating.
Yeah. If you could go back and talk to the version of yourself who hadn't hadn't got that email from Denick yet,
Yeah.
hadn't experienced these milestones, what would you say to her?
I would just say one of my favorite phrases, which is just keep going. I also know from my experience in marketing, a 1% response rate is a success. So if you send 100 emails to art directors and you get one person that responds, that's success by
Totally.
marketing standards. Like your standards, your definition can obviously be different, but it is literally a numbers game. And the only way you lose is if you stop. So you just have to be in it. And yeah, it's not easy to send these emails and get no reply. And you definitely start having that self-doubt creep in about maybe my work's not good enough, or they just don't like me, or you start taking it personally. It's really hard not to. And I'm not going to say just don't, because we do take it personally. It's our art. It's who we are.
Yeah, it came from us.
It came from us. But it is just a numbers game. So just keep going. And if you need to take a break, but don't quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would tell former Stacy. And I tell that to present Stacy as well.
So, totally. I tell that to former and future Kristi as well.
Yeah. And what about you? What would you like tell the version of yourself who hasn't reached this milestone?
I think there needs to be, I would tell her to be willing to be flexible and new things, because we've talked about this so many times where I've just said to you, I am not making my own products. That is too scary. That is too much of my own money investing in my own stuff. I don't know if it's going to work. And I've just like for years have said, oh no, I'm not making products. I'm not doing that. And then somebody offered me a table at a market and I looked at all my artwork and I was like, yeah, I could probably make some products. I was like, whatever. But if I was like really rigid in my beliefs, like I have been for the last several years, I wouldn't have even said yes to the offer of a table.
Yeah.
And I think that willingness to be flexible could apply to lots of other areas too. You only want to do licensing, but maybe you're flexible and you decide you're willing to take on some client work because it's somebody who you think you could really work well with or you're excited about. It's not very, so in human design, I'm a generator. It's that very generator thing of follow your excitement. But it's also really hard to do it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you can lean into the things that make you, that's going to really help move you forward and try new things. And maybe you'll fail, maybe you won't, but you're not going to know if you don't try.
Exactly. Try anything once.
Yeah. Exactly.
What else? I guess this is, since we're closing out this season, to be determined, season 2.
Yeah.
In terms of like our listeners, our viewers, what are some of the things that you hope that they will take away from listening to this? Or I feel like we've also covered a little bit of this, but like some of the maybe more practical action steps that they can take from hearing about some of the wins that we've had, or the lessons that we've learned.
So I guess I would hope that listeners, one, remember to acknowledge the moments, right? And it doesn't matter if it's getting a licensing deal or sketching your figure drawings a couple of times a week or whatever you're trying to do. But if you're not acknowledging those wins, then you don't even remember they happened and they just don't feel as real, right? If you don't actually acknowledge them.
Yeah, definitely. And I would suggest too, like whatever works for you digitally or handwriting things down, putting them in a place where you can see them. I know I've heard of some people who will get DMs from people who've purchased their products, or like clients who've written them nice letters, or even like nice comments on Instagram about something that you post. They'll take a screenshot and they'll leave a folder on their desktop for the moments when you're feeling low or discouraged. Then you can flip through those and see, that you are doing things right. You are on the right track, and that in those moments when you're feeling like you're not getting anywhere, it's nice to be able to have a place where you can go back and look at, oh, actually, you know what? I have kicked ass this year. I've done all these things that I set out to do. Or even if you didn't do the things you set out to do, there are steps along the way that you have done. And those are worth acknowledging. Doesn't have to be a huge win. Celebrate the small ones.
Definitely. I think acknowledging the steps is a really great one. Because there are just lots of this building a creative business thing it's really hard, and it requires like a million steps. And so if you have been through the first 20 or something and you haven't gotten to where you were hoping you would get to, at least looking at where you have those 20 steps forward that you've taken, I feel like that's really valuable.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Last episode. Woo! We did it.
We did it. We don't know if it's live, but we did it. But I would like to know from the listeners and the viewers what your biggest win is so that we can celebrate that with you. So maybe you want to put that in the comments.
I would love that.
Share a little bit. Feel good stuff.
Yes. And if you enjoyed any of these episodes and want more, we're always open to topics.
100% open to topics.
What are your questions for us? What are your questions about building a creative business? Doing this we are Art After Dark after all. Doing this in the margins of your life. We are very open to your feedback and your questions and your topic ideas.
Definitely. Please. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate you for sticking it out.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to Art After Dark. If you connected with today's episode, we'd love for you to subscribe and share it with a friend who's on their own creative quest. And if you want to follow along with our work, you'll find all the links in the show notes. Until next time, keep creating, and we'll see you after dark.